I wanted to talk about what's been driving the privatisation through. This connects into the trade lobby because it's the same people have been pushing the privatisation through up till now, with the big prize set for when TTIP opens the markets to the American corporations. It all appears to have been timed quite carefully. There have been a lot of middlemen, particularly management consultants and the accountancy firms, but also the competition lawyers, some other kinds of lawyers, various other parties have made quite a lot of money out of the NHS privatisation and out of privatisation in general, and indeed out of these trade laws, because they are basically advising both sides of the deals. So they encourage both sides of the deals, that the deals should be done, and then they make an enormous fee. And they have gone from country to country, turning over the public services in the same way. So we in this country have been encouraged to believe that what's going on here, the general wave of final privatisation and the things that are being done to the NHS are just for this country, specific to us. But actually it can be seen that the model is being done exactly the same across the different countries. The European health services have mostly been privatised. That was done quite quietly in most cases because they are social insurance systems where all you have to do is stop the state running it and let the private sector run it. So you can do quite a quiet outsourcing. Countries like us and Spain and Italy, which have got the same kind of health system we have here, those have been more problematic, and there have been riots in Spain about the loss of their NHS.
Can you switch it off and on again? It's the classic approach.
Keep calm and switch it on and off.
Yes? No?
Carry on for a bit.
Okay, all right. Okay. I'll keep going on for a few minutes.
Till 22, that's all right.
Yeah, that's fine. It's fine. If it comes on before the end, then I'll skip through what I was going to say there. Okay, so what ought to be happening to the NHS? Well, as far as the trade agenda is concerned, the only thing that will make it easy is renationalising it, because the restriction that allows health services under trade law, should we continue to conform to it, which I think really we should consider to be optional. As I say, this is a con trick which has been achieved by buying up our politicians. So we don't necessarily have to take any notice of trade law at all if we can manage to wrest control back from our corrupt politicians, that is. But to conform with trade law, we need to get the market back out of the NHS. It seems that all the enthusiasm for marketisation of the NHS was to bring it into the trade law trap, ready for TTIP. So what we could be doing instead, the NHS is only in problems really because it's being privatised. It's getting more and more expensive and less effective because of the marketisation and privatisation. So we could roll that back, save upwards of 10 billion a year already, more than 25 billion a year compared to what they're going to do to the system as it becomes less effective. The system we're going to end up with is much the same as the US-style system, of course, with most people reliant on private health insurance or attempting to rely on private health insurance and then finding themselves let down, which is, of course, very common, and then with a small residual surface for the poor. In addition to saving all of that money that we are spending on allowing companies to have siphoning points into our public services, we could also avoid the risk of any kind of competition law or trade law fines. There have been examples of fines, thank you, fines under this section previously. The Dutch GP Association were telling young GPs, please could you go and take up positions in rural areas where there are no GPs, and they got fined 7.7 million euros for doing that because it's interfering with the market, because the Dutch healthcare system is already privatised ahead of ours. Okay, so that's a summary slide which will be in the set, giving some chapter and verse, but I'll run back through the other points that I wanted to make very quickly. There is the esteemed Simon Stevens at the head of our NHS, ready to take it over from underneath. He will be taking over, he will be allowing United Health to take over the commissioning support units. They're shortly to be privatised, and you'll probably find that if the effort bill goes through, then United Health will scoop the lot. It'll not be in the news a lot though. This was the thing that is interesting to point out to you. Here we have the OECD countries. Here we have life expectancy at birth. So this is lifespan for the whole population. This is not talking about just patients, it's talking about everyone in the country. Here is the cost per person in US purchasing power parity dollars of paying for that healthcare system. We're here more or less in the centre of the pack. Down here we've got middle income countries which have got lower life expectancies but they spend almost nothing on the healthcare systems. As you come up this line, you get to the best performers in the world, the highest lifespans, and they're all pretty cheap. They're all coming in at less than $3,000 a year. And interestingly, all of those, Japan is slightly different, but Israel, Spain and Italy are modelled on our NHS. So basically, doing things the way we used to before Mrs. Thatcher started messing with it all, and her team, including Oliver Letwin, started messing with it all. This is the way to get good performance, to stay up here. As you move through this pack, this is increasing privatisation until you get to our target state, the USA, which has got life expectancy worse than Chile's, but manages to spend 8 times as much on its healthcare per year as Chile, and about twice as much on it as most of the European countries and the peer group. So what you have here is we're copying this. We should be copying that. The difference between the two is, I'm afraid, we have corrupt politicians in charge. This is infant mortality, not lifespan, but it's survival for live-born children, the ones that survive. Sorry, it's the death. How many deaths per thousand live births in the first year? So again, we've got the same shape. We've got the same middle-income countries, not spending much and not doing terribly well, and we've got generally public sector based systems doing better, and the US as an outlier again, embarrassingly bad performance, embarrassingly expensive, but that is what we are copying. And this is what shows you that the people in charge of this country are not on our side. They are crooks. They are being paid off by the people who gain from the USA system. That is basically what this is showing. All of these countries are moving towards that state. It is a systematic thing, and it is achieved by corruption. That's cost of deals of PFIs. That is party political donations. So the PFI contract amounts 22 billion for KPMG, the last one. And KPMG there gave $500,000 to the coalition in the 4 years running up to 2012. So there we have the deal. Those are 2 persons who are entirely too fond of the city, and of course Nick Clegg is a Brussels man as well. Here we have a very interesting case, and I will talk a little bit about this and then stop. On the left-hand side, we have Mr. Clegg with his high-flying wife, who he found in Brussels when she was a competition lawyer. She was previously a trade lawyer. She has been on a WTO tribunal. She has written trade law. She is a serious expert, and until recently she was in partnership with the gentleman on the right, Lord Clement Jones, who is the Liberal Party treasurer and therefore fundraiser. So he gets money from various people in order to fund the Liberal Democrats. He's been in some trouble with that over the elevation of people into the Lords, and then changing stories when asked about that by newspaper reporters. Lord Clement Jones is the person who's responsible for getting the Health and Social Care Act 2012 in, and the Section 75 regulations bringing competition law to the NHS more than any other person. He was instructing the Liberal Democrat team. I was told by the leader of that team that they were just saying whatever he told them to, and that is why you will see in Hansard through those debates the whole thing is in competition law jargon. So she and he were previously in partnership at a global law firm called DLA Piper. It's enormous, a US law firm. I think it may be the biggest in the world. If you look at their US corporate political donations, they give to absolutely every political party in the USA. And they sell government lobbying services. Clement Jones is in fact a government lobbying specialist. So he was in charge of the government lobbying department within DLA Piper. She was in charge of competition law. He is now London managing office partner, and she has moved to a different law firm, perhaps in order to make all of this a little bit less obvious. I think the Liberal Democrats are very interesting. People think that they are a load of befuddled sandal wearers. These are the people at the top. I think this is a lot of our problem. Thank you.